Hi friends, I want to talk to you about the books that I read in the month of March. At the end of February, I ended up setting a TBR for myself, which is very unlike me. I don't ever really follow a TBR, but I felt like I needed some structure. So this was the TBR that I set. And of these books, these are the ones that I read. I'm actually pretty proud of myself for sticking to a TBR, but I read a lot of other books too. Total, I read 10 books, but the month is not over, and I might be able to squeeze another one in there. But let me talk about the ones that I did finish. The first book that I read was Brigands and Bread Knives. What a tongue twister, by Travis Baldree. This is the third book in the Legends and Lattes series. I loved this book. This book was so well done. In the first book, we are following an orc that ends up opening a coffee shop in her retirement. In the second one, we kind of have a flashback to a previous adventure before she decides to retire. And in that book, we meet Fern. Well, Fern is our main character in this third book. And Fern used to run a bookstore. She decides that she needs community, so she comes and moves next to Viv, who runs the coffee shop. She is just kind of in this slump where she doesn't think that she wants to sell books anymore, but she doesn't know what she wants to do. She ends up on this crazy adventure with this insane cast of characters, but it is so cute, and it is, like his other books, somehow cozy, but somehow high stakes. I don't know how else to explain it, but it was really good. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. The biggest drawback for me, for a cozy bookshop owner, Fern cusses a lot. It was very distracting. Overall, I really did enjoy this book. Next, I picked up Green Glass House by Kate Milford. This is a middle grade book, and it was fine. I think that maybe middle grade, I haven't read enough of the genre to have a very specific like or dislike of these kinds of books. This book is about the Smuggler's Inn. We're following Milo, who is the innkeeper's adopted son. He's on winter break from school. It's Christmas time. He wants to just kind of relax, but then all these guests keep checking in, and it turns out some of them know each other, some of them have their secrets. So he's being kind of nosy because what's going on with them has to do with the Smuggler's Inn, and there's some little mysteries that need to be solved. I enjoy the hijinks that he gets up to. I think I've just outgrown the genre as a whole, but it wasn't a bad book. I gave it 3.5 stars. Next, I read Just Last Night by Mahari McFarlane. This is about a group of friends and their messy lives. Like, that is the best way I can sum it up. Basically, there are these 4 friends that are thick as thieves, and one night one of them dies tragically and suddenly in a car accident. It is following another one of the friends and her trying to pick up the pieces in her life and grieve her best friend, but also keep on living, and how her relationship has changed with the other friends since her best friend's death. It is very messy. There are a lot of secrets that come out. It's not just her going through grief, but it is also going through a lot of changes in her life. I don't think I got every reference because it is very British and I am not British. The story showed how grief and anger are 2 sides of the same coin. It was very powerful. And I liked that it wasn't focused on a romance, it was focused more on the friendships that she has in her life. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. Next, I picked up Girl Dinner by Olivia Blake. This book was a trip. I was kind of waiting for the shoe to drop the whole book, and boy did it. It fell far. In this book, we are following Sloane. She's a professor at a university. She's a new mom. She's trying to find that balance of motherhood and professional career. It is something that a lot of women I feel like can relate to. And then there is Nina, who is a sophomore in college, and she is trying to get into this elite sorority. So both of these women, their lives are kind of parallel to each other. They're trying to find friends, trying to fit in, trying to make space for themselves in a circle, right? They both end up getting involved with a sorority called the House. Nina ends up as a pledge, and Sloane ends up as one of the house mothers. They kind of just watch over the girls, make sure that everything's going okay. The way these women become elite and high powered and successful in life is insane. The very end, it just gets wild. It just gets wild. I did have a problem with this book in the beginning because it is very feminist rage, in your face, I am female, hear me roar situation. And as the book progressed, it just got crazier and crazier. But then in the author's note, she did say that this is satire. It was so overdone that it just like gave me the ick in the beginning. It got better as the book progressed. So if you start this book and you're like, I don't want to read this because of that feminist tone, stick with it because the ending is wild. I gave this book 4 stars and definitely recommend this. Next, off of my monthly TBR, I read Good Vibes, Good Life by Vex King. This is a nonfiction self-help book, and if you've ever read a nonfiction self-help book, I feel like they all pretty much say the same thing. I did appreciate that he cited some studies and gave you exercises to do in the book, but really, I did not think that this was applicable to my life, and I didn't necessarily agree with his opinion on meditating. I definitely will be passing this book on to somebody that can benefit from it, but I gave this book 2.5 stars. I didn't feel very empowered or changed or anything like that after reading this. Next, I read Recipes for an Unexpected Afterlife by Destin J. Munden. This book is kind of like a mix of Legends and Lattes meets House in the Cerulean Sea. If you really liked both of those books, I think you will like this book. This is about an orc knight that is given a unique afterlife. In their world, they basically are resurrected. I don't know how to explain their magic system, but basically he's given a second chance at life. And so with his remaining time on Earth, he decides that he is going to open a restaurant because he has always loved that idea. There are themes of found family and going to the ends of the earth for her situation. I adored it. I think that this book is so cute. I really enjoyed the comparison of his previous life to his life now and how he can take the lessons from before when he was a knight and turn it into something positive where he is not this murdering machine. And it is very beautiful. And I love his little found family. There are times in this book that I was laughing out loud. Jasper, you're snoring really loud, buddy. Next, on a road trip, my husband and I listened to Project Hail Mary. This book was something else. I have read The Martian by Andy Weir, and I think that Project Hail Mary is more science heavy than The Martian. I still really enjoyed it, but I'm a sciencey girl, okay? I like science. I'm a sciencey girl. I like sci-fi. He did such a wonderful job making it easy for the lay person to understand. If you don't know, there's a movie out about this. So I feel like that is what's going on in the world right now. Project Hail Mary is about a science teacher named Ryland Grace, and he wakes up in space. He's trying to figure out what is going on. Can you imagine waking up from a coma in outer space, not knowing who you are, and then figuring out that you are the sole survivor of this suicide mission to space in order to save planet Earth? Like, talk about high stakes. And then you find out you're not alone in the universe. That there is an alien and he has the same goal as you. Isn't that insane? Like, just think about that premise, okay? I really enjoyed this book. My husband and I both really enjoyed this book. My husband and I ended up seeing the movie. We both really enjoyed the movie. Obviously, the book is going to be better. I have yet to meet a movie where the movie's better than the book, other than one specific series that we're not going to get into. Maybe I'll make a separate video about that. I really enjoyed Project Hail Mary, both the book and the movie. It is such a beautiful story of an unlikely friendship. It's just beautiful. Anyway, I ended up giving Project Hail Mary 4.5 stars. Next, I listened to Mistletoe Mystery by Nita Prose This is a novella in the Maid series. The Maid and The Mystery Guest are the other two books in this series. It is very cute. It is set at Christmas time, so I read a bunch of Christmas books in March. I'm not going to say too much about it because I feel like that would give it away. The next book that I read is The Unmothers by Leslie J. Anderson. This book is about a reporter that goes to check out a town for a story, and then she ends up finding out that a horse gave birth to a human baby. So she thinks that there's a story there, but her editor doesn't really want her to stay. She's like, okay, about to drop it. And then they discover a body has turned up, like a murder, right? She ends up staying in the town and feeling it out, seeing what's going on there. It's kind of gory. Honestly, it's a little forgettable. It was fine. I think this could have been a little bit weirder for being a horror novel. Reading this at the time, I was reminded of Gillian Flynn's Sharp Objects, eerie reporter goes to a small town wants to keep it to themselves kind of vibe, but I ended up giving this book 3 stars. Next, I read What Stalks the Deep by T. Kingfisher. This is the 3rd book in the Sworn Soldier series. This book ties all of it together. This whole series, we are following Alex through these different scenarios where she kind of has to go to these like haunted places. The first book is loosely based off of an Edgar Allan Poe poem, and it features a nice little fungus that infects many hosts. Think The Last of Us with the virus that infects everything and the fungus. Yeah, that was in the first book. The second book, we're dealing with a spirit entity, demon, whatever you want to call it. This last book kind of ties both those books together, and she ends up in America dealing with something similar, and she does make references back to the previous 2 books, so I definitely recommend reading these books in order. But I ended up giving this book 4 stars. It just ended up giving me the creepy crawlies, and I just really enjoyed it. Now I'm currently in the middle of reading Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man. It's so cute. Both these books have just like made me laugh out loud, and I adore Vera. Like, I want her to adopt me. That's like her theme. She adopts people and has this big found family and feeds everybody. I want a Vera in my life, but she's so funny. I'm about 70% through, probably finish it by the end of the month. And if I do, I will put my star rating here. Let's talk about my statistics. For the month of March, I read 10 books total. I read 4 physical books and 6 audiobooks. I had a total of 3,105 pages. It's an average of 100 pages per day. I read 1 book every 3.2 days, and I had an average rating of 3.7. That is wonderful, especially with that 2.5 in there. I read 6 female authors, 4 male authors, and 5 new-to-me authors. I read 1 middle grade and 9 adult books. And then I read 4 fantasy, 1 romance, 4 thriller, mystery, horror, whatever you want to call it, that kind of genre, and 1 nonfiction, self-help. And my favorite book of the month was Project Hail Mary. I think it was such a good experience to have that on the road trip and just enjoy that with my husband, but also I love Rocky and Dr. Grace's relationship. I just think it's so beautiful. I also got this little counter for how many books that I've read so far this month, and I think I'm going to start updating this every month. So far for January and February combined, I've read 21 books, but I want to flip this over to 31 because I've finished 10 for March. I'm so excited to have this little thing, and it is going to live on my bookshelf in my living room. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am so happy to have you guys here. If you are still hanging out with me, please like, comment, subscribe, and if you don't know what to comment the little snoring emoji because this guy has been snoring the whole time, and I apologize for how loud he is because he is not a quiet dog. The perks of owning a pug, right? I will see you guys soon in a new video. Happy reading. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Jasper. Like, Jasper. I did have a problem with this book in the beginning because it did. The Mistletoe Mystery by Nita. Honey, honey, honey. For being a horror movie. Think of, what is that stupid show called? With Pedro Pascal. The Last of Us. Okay. I knew it had us in it. Okay. Hi. Yes, hello. Yeah, can you wake up just like a smidge? Okay. No, it's not gonna happen.